So I was president of the student chapter of the AIA, and as a result, I got to sit on the local chapter's board. So I sat on the East Bay AIA chapter board and just grew from there.
Wow.
I ran their ARE program. I chaired their design program twice while I was still an associate member. And they just welcomed me in, and then I transferred to the Silicon Valley, Santa Clara Valley chapter, as it was called then, around 2004. And when my business was taking off, and I was also doing some work at Stanford at that time, so it was time to come join a local chapter, which I did. And I've been involved in design awards as a submitter almost every year.
Wow.
And that's been a great joy for me to have my work recognized by my peers and to recognize other people's work. That's been really special.
I think he built a couple that Goody Steinberg designed. And my dad was really the inspiration for me. I knew at the age of 13 that I wanted to be an architect when I grew up. And I think he would be pretty proud of what's happened so far. And I was sort of aware of the AIA even then. I mean, I knew architects through my father's work. But even when I was in school at the University of Oregon, I always felt that AIA was kind of removed from where I was with my status as a student. So it wasn't until I joined Holly Peterson Snyder that I actually was encouraged to participate in the AIA and really learn to appreciate it and be part of it.
And actually, when I was in college, I was like, oh, architecture, art, engineering, math, those are the two things I'm really good at. I'm going to do that. Not knowing, actually, that architectural engineering is engineering for building, so it's not really architecture. Although we had to take architecture courses and had studio classes and things like that. So I did that major. I got out, started working for SOM in Chicago.
Oh, you did? Wow.
And I hung out with a lot of architects. And so at some point, they're all getting to that age where they're talking about taking the exam and getting licensed. And back in those days, I guess, you didn't need to have a 5-year degree. It was just like 4-year bachelor's degree and you could take the exam, right? And they're just starting to change that rule. So in Illinois, you had to have a 5-year degree, professional degree, but in Wisconsin, you could still do a 4-year degree. So a bunch of my friends who had bachelor's degrees were going to Wisconsin to take the exam. And I'm like, maybe I'll take the exam just for the heck of it. And so that's what I did. And the joke at SOM was actually that design architects always failed design on the first go around. And the technical architects just passed the exam the first try. So I went, took the exam, and I failed design. I was the only section I failed, so I was like all proud of myself. But in the end, I took the exam, passed it, and so signed up with the AIA.
The firm Ehrlich Rominger was always involved with the AIA, and of course, Warren, you knew Jack Rominger and Joe Ehrlich really well, Rod Heft, and Jack was heavily involved. I believe he was past president, but you know, my memory's getting a little faint now. But
president the year before me.
Gotcha. Okay, so
President.
Wow.
he got me involved and got the firm behind it, and so I enjoyed getting involved and doing things and helping others, and that goes back to probably the mid-'70s, right after I joined the firm.
Wow.
And since that time, with Jack, you know, there by my side, I want to say almost held every single office that there was within the AIA. And
I was active as a student. I was active when I came out. I think there was such a history there of really, really good people. Bill Duquette being one of them, Bill Hawley being a really great person. I had worked for Higgins and Root.
Oh, wow.
So
Yep.
Jerry Erickson was the design mentor of mine and got me very excited about the profession and encouraged me to go out on my own
Wow.
and start my firm, and I did. And so, you know, here's that tie, you know, of people. What I can remember about early days is I was in a class at West Valley College, and Bill Duquette, who I just think was a great mentor for me and many, many students that he had there, he had the AIA come to one of the design labs, you know, and they basically, it was either a president or I'm not sure which officer or board member, but it was somebody. I just can't remember back that far for the name, but I remember their discussion was very, you know, inspirational for a student. And Bill, after it was over, pushed our class to think about joining, and I joined.
Oh,
you
great.
know, and I was a second-year design student at West Valley, and was there for 2 years, and then, you know, moved on to Cal Poly for 3 more there, and but those roots were really with me, you know, when I first got interested.
And that was a great joy to work with students. And towards the end of my career there, I radically rethought how I taught. and realized that the master-student relationship no longer was a very good way of thinking about teaching. So I switched it to a much more student-centered approach and had discussion and group work. One of the last studios I taught, we did one project, all 14 students did one project together, the way you would in an office.
A student all my life, and gladly so. I would be a full-time student if I could.
Right, right.
But I mean, things come across, your consciousness often. And just last week, I learned about a phase change material that Armstrong is offering now for ceiling tiles that just got me so excited. It can do peak shaving and reduce the energy consumption for a space and improve comfort.
Wow.
And they have a tax incentive that allows you to maybe put that ceiling in for less than you would a standard ceiling. So when I see things like that, I just get really excited about the future and the kinds of things that we're going to see coming down the line. And I looked a little bit back into the history, and I saw that our AIA chapter was formed not too long after the Second World War. And when you think about the changes that have happened in society and technology and everything, climate, since then, of course, things have changed. But I did also look, and I found that it wasn't until 1990 that our chapter had its first woman president, Elsbeth Newfield.
Yes.
And it wasn't until 25 years after that, in 2015, that we had our first woman fellow
Yes.
in Pam Anderson Brule. So change happens. Sometimes it's slow.
I didn't realize that people knew me outside the firm. So as we started looking for like-minded folks to grow the firm with and so forth, that actually had a draw, and certainly to women, once we did we created the WIA. So I think that was really helpful. I also think that I learned a lot as president. I traveling and being involved in going to Washington D.C. and learning how to, advocate for not yourself but others. That was a really big learning experience. And when I came back to the city, I had more confidence to go and talk to city officials and to push for the AIA, actually to accomplish things like the Voice of the AIA and things like that. So I think it was a great learning place for me, and I think that learning expanded as the more I became a leader. It had existed prior, so the Women's Leadership Summit was something that was created by the national organization, and it had already existed in several locations. The idea was that the local chapter would do the work to put on the conference, but at the same time very much national would guide it. They'd have an outline, they'd do something very specific, and then that would be responded to. So I think I can't remember the number, but maybe the first one had maybe 200 women, and then it grew from there. And so
it was just so much fun. I remember that day planning all that, because we said, okay, this is the goal. How are we gonna get to there? So we kind of divided and conquered. Mariana, why don't you talk to some of the people that have organized WLS before? You concentrate on that. Stephanie and I were thinking of going to Minnesota and actually see it in person. Not all of us could go to Minnesota, so it's like, okay, the two of us will just go to Minnesota and figure it out. And then from there, I do remember that day in Minnesota, sitting in front of the fireplace, saying, okay, are we doing this? We are. And it was, just a fantastic moment to figure it out that we could do this. So then we came back, and of course we said, well, we cannot just organize WLS, we need to build some credibility. We still had to put an application. So in that building the credibility, we said, oh yes, let's start another conference. So
let's create our own.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true.
So the Women's Leadership Summit is a national conference organized through the American Institute of Architects, And we collaborated with the national leadership for AIA to develop the Women's Leadership Summit, WLS 2022. Originally, I believe it was supposed to be 21 or even 20, but COVID kept postponing it. And despite, and maybe because of that, we ended up with an attendance of 750 people, which was huge and
magnificent.
Magnificent, yeah.
It naturally grew. I think our goal was 500 attendees, and the interest was so big. The venue could hold more people. We hosted it at San Jose Center for Performing Arts, and it was such a beautiful building that we said we can go bigger. So we ended up with 750 women, and then after our the one that we hosted, it started to be an yearly event.
Okay, then if I'm involved in volunteering, someone will see me, and another person who's Persian or Iranian will also want to join. And so then through my friendships and connections and encouragement, so many more Persians came. Through Mariana and Katya, more Latinas came. And so eventually the membership has grown. So we've also had a financially successful impact on the chapter because membership has grown and diversified. It happens that during the WLS 2022, right at that same time in Iran was the Woman Life Freedom Movement. And a woman in Iran had been killed because she was showing too much hair. And that had only been a few days before. And based on my encouragement, we had 15, 20 Persian women at the conference. And we were seeking a place where we could gather and sort of commiserate and what are we going to do about this? And I just felt so proud that we were able to be here. And we are here free. We could show our hair freely, and they were there restricted. And it was just this really powerful emotional time for us to be together.
Well, I think if there's one thing I've learned over the course of my career in academics or green building or AIA or just as a project architect, it's the importance of relationships and building a circle of people that you can count on as your people, basically.
I love architecture. You asked me if I'm still working. Yes, I am. I just love it, and I want to continue to do it as long as I'm able to. And but more than that, I look forward to this anniversary celebration. I was at the 25th, the 50th.
That's right.
Now the 75th. And you think about all of that, and the people you're going to see, and reconnect with, right. And talk about what you've been doing, what kind of work are you still doing, personal lives. But I would say the people that stand out most to me were colleagues that were kind of my own age, that came through the School of Architecture and then the chapter that were about my age. And, they, Rob Steinberg, Jerry King, Mike Roanhouse, those are guys who really stand out. Not only, did we know each other through the AIA, we were, friends and colleagues and talked about architecture, still talk about that. And those are people you just look forward to seeing.
Is the buildings that we create, the project we create, it's kind of like the baby book, right? You're looking through it and you're like, oh my God, what I put into that, and this is a beautiful picture of that. But it's the people that you're doing that with. It's the people and the relationships, and that goes out to the contractors and the interior, whoever is involved. That's the community that you have to lead to get the very best outcome. So it's kind of the parents of the architecture that we're creating. So now that I'm 3 years into retirement, I remember the people. I don't remember the awards so much. I don't remember the pain of it all. I remember the relationships. I remember the people, and being, that we had this day together with these women.
things become so accessible when you create a network and a community, and the way the Silicon Valley community supports each other. You know, we're all competitors, yet we're peers and we all have each other's back. The community of architects and the way we help grow the profession together is really impactful. In terms of lifelong relationships, it's when I think about all the people I've met in 17 years as a member of AIA Silicon Valley, I start to think about people we've lost, and it's actually, it reminds me how much of this community is so important to me, and to reflect on how important those people were to me.
It's the clients are my friends, and they've been my friends for my whole career. And because I've been involved in the AIA, that's been my hobby and my occupation, right? So that was a perfect job for me to take on as my retirement job. And that's one where I said I'd do it until I was 65, but I liked it so much I did it until I was 70. So that was great, and I could do that. So that's what I love about my profession.